Let's go back into court together now. Sergeant Kyle Kern is on the stand, direct examination by the state.
Did you, on September 19th, late evening, early morning of September 20th, 2024, did you get involved with the investigation of a shooting that occurred at 327 Southeast 32nd Avenue?
Yes, sir.
What city and county was that located in?
Ocala, Florida, Marion County.
All right. So walk us through, how do you get notified or how do you get involved at the very beginning of investigation? How do you get kind of pulled into it?
Whenever patrol responded, realized what the scene was is when they'd start notifying on-call CID. Because I was a major crimes detective at that time, I was called out by the supervision to come out and assist with the investigation.
And did you immediately then, once you got called, go to that residence?
I did.
When you arrived at the residence, was the defendant still located at the residence?
No, he was not.
Where was he at?
He was at the Ocala Police Department.
Okay. Were you the one who took him to the Ocala Police Department?
I was not.
All right. Now, when you first arrived on scene, did you immediately go inside of the residence?
Briefly.
Okay. And did you ever have an opportunity to investigate or make any determinations or essentially look at the scene at the time?
Briefly.
Can you kind of just briefly describe to us what it was that you observed or what you saw?
Just looking through the front door of the resident, saw the deceased on the floor of the resident, kind of in the dining kitchen area. Just a quick overview, and then I went to the Ocala Police Department.
And was there anybody located besides the victim? Was there anybody else inside of the home at that time?
No, sir.
Was there anybody allowed to go inside the home at that time?
No, sir.
Okay. We heard earlier there was testimony about a search warrant obtained to eventually go inside the home to document and photograph. Did you have involvement in getting the search warrant for the residence?
I did.
Okay. And was anybody allowed inside of the home until you obtained the search warrant to go inside the residence?
No, sir.
Now, you said that you briefly looked into the home and you ended up going back to the Ocala Police Department. What was the purpose of going to the Ocala Police Department at that time?
To interview Mr. Boileau.
Okay. And did you, in fact, have an opportunity to interview Mr. Boileau?
I did.
And the person that you interviewed as Dale Boileau, do you see him in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you please point him out and identify him by an article of clothing?
Bluish jacket.
Can you kind of be a little bit more descriptive for me?
Male with beard, glasses, blue jacket, blue and gray tie.
Let the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
No objection. Without objection, the record will reflect the witness has identified the defendant.
Now, let's talk about the interview a little bit. When you interviewed the defendant, did you only interview him one time or multiple times?
Multiple times.
Can you kind of explain the reason for the multiple times and kind of give us just a brief timeline of what was going on during this time?
So the first interview I had with him was just to get a roundabout story of exactly what had occurred. There was a break in between my first and second interview with him. That was the time that the search warrant was executed at the residence. And the second interview was to clear up timelines and information from the first interview I had, coupled with what we had from the search warrant.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, you got an initial statement from him, executed the search warrant. So did you go back to the residence at that time yourself?
I did.
Then at that point, did you go inside of the residence?
I did.
After you went inside the residence, viewed everything for yourself, is that when you did your second interview with Mr. Boileau?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what was the purpose of doing that second interview?
Just to clarify the original statements, again, what we located at the house during the search warrant, and just to get a more definitive timeline about what had occurred.
Now, when you do these interviews, are they recorded?
They are.
How are they recorded?
We have rooms within the Ocala Police Department that have audio and visual recordings, and the entire time that he was at the Ocala Police Department was recorded.
And have you been able to view the recordings of your times of when you actually interviewed the defendant in this case?
Yes.
Okay. In your Honor, I'm going to show defense what's been previously marked as States W for identification. If you can look at this and let me know if you recognize this.
Yes, sir.
What is that?
This is my interviews with Mr. Boileau that I have signed off on.
And just to be clear, you say interview, so that's both the initial interview you were discussing and the second interview after you executed the search warrant?
Correct.
Are both interviews a fair and accurate depiction of the interviews you conducted with Mr. Boileau on, we'll kind of start evening of September 19th, 2024 into the morning of September 20th, 2024?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this point in time, state would move in evidence what's been previously marked as States W for identification as States 23.
No objection. What's been marked for identification as States W will be admitted into evidence as States Exhibit 23.
And if I may publish, Your Honor, and have access to the system.
Yes, sir.
I just got here not too long ago, so I'm kind of coming into the back end of this whole thing, right? So bear with me, because I really don't know a whole lot. But first thing I wanted to tell you is I'm sorry for what's going on. All right. Dale, what's your birthday?
9/7/19. 7 Southeast 32nd Ave.
32nd. And spell your last name for me.
Boileau.
So I thought I wanted to make sure. All right, you know the drill, right? Yeah. So, I'll get through it. If you need anything, let me know. But obviously, because we're here, we gotta talk about kind of what's going on, right?
I know.
Right.
I really don't want to talk about it.
You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to execute these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. Do you understand each of these rights if I explain them to you?
I do.
All right. So, kind of, like I said, I was kind of coming into the back end of this. Tell me exactly what happened.
It was an accident. We were training.
What do you mean by that? You were training?
We were doing dry fire drills and cleaning the guns. I was so worried about her because she picked up a loaded gun. I unloaded her gun and I forgot mine. Had a magazine in it.
So you and her, and I'm sorry, what is her name?
Polina Wright.
Polina Wright?
I'm having some difficulty hearing it. I don't know if you can turn it up on your device. I do have the content volume.
All right, they're hitting the pause button on that video, so we're going to do the same and bring in National Trial Attorney Michael Jaffer. Michael, good to see you. Also want to let our viewers know the witness who was immediately before this one, a digital forensic analyst, Kern Patterson. We were listening to see if she was going to be able to reveal something about the text messages between these two. She did download everything from the phones, but someone else is going to testify about the report. So we haven't heard that yet. But Michael, I want to know from you, what questions are unanswered for you in this trial so far? What do you want to hear going forward?
Really, I want to see, was there a history between these two people? Were they fighting? Were they arguing? Have there been any reports of any type of abuse or any type of domestic violence? It matters because the events are kind of outlandish. They're kind of unbelievable that a deputy who's trained on what's called muzzle discipline, which you never dry fire into a person, dry fired into a person, into a human being, right? Forgot that it was loaded or not. Is not relevant to me. Why did he dry fire into her? So I want to see whether or not there's type of history between these two. And if there isn't any history between them, the same questions remain for me.
Michael, what's interesting to me is here you have the police interviewing a sheriff's deputy. He's a sheriff's deputy. He knows what laws say. And what he says was, it was an accident. We were training. He says that during this interrogation. My question for you is, but that's not a defense under the law. So what if it was an accident? He could still be found criminally responsible.
Maybe I was thinking the same thing. Maybe he was drunk. Maybe he was candid. Maybe he thought himself that really, he's lucky that he wasn't charged with first-degree murder, right? And so maybe that was a play for him to say, look, I gotta fess up and tell them that something happened, so that, because they're not going to just let me off the hook for no reason. So maybe that was in his mind, or maybe he just wasn't thinking at all. Maybe he just was going through the shock and had the adrenaline of the fact that he just murdered a human being in his home under his care and under his duty, and he should have known better. But you are correct. It is mysterious as to why he was admitting to that.
Yeah, and we are going to get in our break because when we come back, we're going to be able to hear that police interrogation video. They're actually rewinding it, and they're going to play it from the start so that the audio is better. Stay with us. Tonight on Closing Arguments, Vinnie Politan is back in studio as a man confesses to killing his parents on live TV. We talked to the news director about the confession.
Closing arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
4 dead students.
None of it seemed to make any sense.
He was evil.
What devastation.
All I can do is scream.
Victim to Verdict with Ted Rowlands. New episode Saturday night, 8 Eastern and Pacific.
Only on Court TV.
Welcome back. We are going to turn now to Florida and go back to the trial the deputy shoots girlfriend against Leslie Boileau.
Now, he stands accused of shooting and killing his girlfriend. Her name was Polina Wright. This was during a time that they had both consumed 3 margaritas, and he claims it was a gun training session they were doing that night. This all happened last year.
And he says it was an accident. Let's get you back into court now. The jury is watching the defendant's interview with the police following the incident.
I just got here not too long ago, so I'm kind of coming into the back end of this whole thing, right? So bear with me, because I really don't know a lot. But first thing I want to tell you is I'm sorry for what's going on. All right. What is your birthday? 9/7/19. What's the number?
327 Southeast 32nd.
Spell your last name.
B-O-I-L.
Alright, you like to go, right? Yeah, so, I'll get through it. If you need anything, let me know. But obviously, because we're here, we gotta talk about kind of what's going on right now. You have the right remains on, anything you say can be used against you in court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned. If you want to afford to hire a lawyer, then will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to execute these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements. You understand each of these rights that I explained them to you? I do. All right. So, like I said, I was kind of putting into the back end of this. Exactly what happened.
It's an accident. We were training.
What do you mean by that? We were training?
We were doing dry fire. It was in guns. I was so worried about her. She picked up a loaded gun. I loaded her gun and I forgot mine. Got a magazine on.
So you and her, and I'm sorry, what is her name?
Polina Wright.
Polina Wright? You said you were dry firing, training with guns. What kind of guns were it?
Mine was my Daniel Defense rifle, or that's considered a pistol. And she, it's a 5.56 barrel. And then she picked up my 9mm pistol. Those were the 2 guns.
So, what time did you guys start doing this training?
Time. More cleaning, doing that for maybe an hour. I don't expect you to. We were sitting at the table. We just got done with dinner. We went out and had dinner. Came back. We were starting to watch the football game together. When we sat down, we had just ordered all of that stuff. That was on the table. We were still cleaning the mat and stuff. And she wanted me to show her how to do it. So we started doing it. And just let her do it.
So, where are you going? Was she pointing a gun at you? Were you pointing a gun at her? Like, trying to go through this?
General direction. Which I know is fucking wrong. We should not have been doing that. She was in trouble.
But she told you that she wanted to learn how to do this. And this is just
doing it properly. Bring our police to each other in general directions, because we're sitting across from each other.
at the table. You're on one side, she's on the other.
We do need to squeeze in a break, but Julie, I just want to mention, although a little hard to hear, it's interesting to me his body language. He's sitting there and then he's kind of stretching. Yeah. He admits that he did shoot her. He just denies that he meant to.
And what's going through his mind right now? I mean, he's a deputy himself. He's being interviewed by someone. He's not on the same force with them. They are police department, Ocala Police Department deputies. He's a county sheriff's deputy, but he no doubt knows them or is familiar with them.
Right.
So he's being interviewed
by his own, so to speak.
For a killing. I mean, that's...
yeah. It's a pretty, it's kind of a crazy case in that he says, no, it was an accident, didn't mean to do it. We're going to see what the jury ends up doing in this case.